Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Mark with Waist Deep Wade Fishing, Southwest Florida. How's everyone doing out there? Hope all is well and everyone is out there catching fish. The weekend is here. So, today we're going to get into giving your rod and reel a tune-up. And, every couple of weeks, some people say, you should do it once every 6 months, once a year. I do it every couple of weeks. I use my rod, 2 to 5 times a week. So I regularly like to lube it up, oil it up, oil the moving parts, get the gears going, make sure the drag is lubricated. And today I'm going to teach you how to do it. A couple of simple things. I'll tell you the rod and reel I'm using. I'm using the 7-foot St. Croix Avid Inshore medium action fast tip. There's the schematics on that. I've got the custom cork on there right now that I sealed with U40, fantastic product. And as far as the reel, I'm using the Shimano Stratic CI4 Plus, and I do have a carbon drag system in there, and I'm also going to be lubricating that carbon drag system today and show you how to do that as well. Little lubrication never hurt. But don't overdo it, because a little is good, too much is no good, and we'll go through that as we go. So before we do that, I want to say thank you to everyone that's been tuning in out there and showing love to the channel. Subscriptions have gone up, the likes, the shares, the sharing of the channel to other people has went up. I can see it through my analytics, so thank you to all. And I'm going to keep putting out the best information for inshore fishing that I can get. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. First thing we want to do is we're going to be using Penn Precision oil. That's number one. That's the first thing we're going to be using today. And then, you can use conventional lubrications. I find on the CI4 a little bit of real butter in the drag system works just perfectly fine. So the first thing we're going to do before we start oiling moving parts, I don't want to get oil spray all over the place, is we're going to lubricate the system. So what you want to do, simple. You want to take off the drag cap. Very, very, very simple. All right. Pop that off, keep that right there, and then we're going to take off the spool. So I like to just take a look inside of the spool, just to see if there's anything going on, clean it up a little bit. If there's any gook in there or anything that's not supposed to be in there, bugs are everywhere, just give it a good once over. That's all. Everything else looks pretty good, clean, neat. All right, and then I give a little 1-2 on the outside of it. And that's really that. So as far as lubrication, I can see that we do have some in there. I'm gonna put some fresh lube inside of it, but that's what you want to lubricate right in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and clean that out a little bit. I do apologize for the lawnmowers. They're out here today. So we're gonna go ahead, get a little bit of this real lube. You don't want too much. And just dab some on in there. Just make sure it gets all around. Inside. You don't want it to slip, but you want it lubricated. And then around the top here on the seal, that's like the pressure cap. It puts pressure on it. Just a little bit like that. Doesn't hurt. What I like to do here is Just clean up the cap underneath. Just like so. See, we got plenty of lubrication in there. And then last but not least, just clean out the rim. There you go. All right. So that's lubricated well. The next thing we're going to look at is, I like to put a little bit of lubrication right here on this rod. It's almost like a piston that comes up and down. I'll put a little bit of lubrication on here and a little down here. Okay, perfect. And then a little squirt on the rod itself down there. And just work it around with your finger, just like so. Doesn't have to be a lot. I always just put on a little bit here and there. Keeps everything in check. Alright. Oh boy. So, now that we have that done, we'll go ahead and untangle all this real quick. Okay, so after you're done applying the lubrication to the drag system, we want to check it. So let's see what we got. Nice, smooth drag. No issues. Alright. Screw that line back up. And we'll give it one more shot. Let's see. Let's tighten the drag a little bit more. Make sure our drag is smooth. Yes. Okay. Good. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is we want to lubricate the roller bearing. Now, in the manual it says not to. I do, but a little bit. I just use a little bit of oil, just to keep it moist. So I use a little precision real oil by Penn, and I don't want to put too much. Like I said, just a couple of drops in there. One there. Come around on this side. I want to get one down in there, and just make sure it all sits in there nicely. Give it a second, let it do its thing. Alright. Just tilt it to the side, make sure it's getting into everything in there. And then just wipe it down, because salt does build up inside there. So what I like to do is just put just a little bit, you know, a couple of drops. Make sure that, you know, it's spinning right, it's lubricated, because again, the salt does do a number on the roller bearings if you don't take care of them. If you take care of them, well, then they'll last you a while. If you don't do what I'm doing, then every couple of months you'll be buying new roller bearings. So let's give her a test. And she is rolling smooth. Perfect. Tighten up the drag, just like so. And we'll give her one more test, just to make sure. And let's give her one more good one. All right. Perfect. And then we'll get another piece here. And what we want to do is clean any splash off that came out from it. Clean it down. And that's it for the roller bearing. Alright. Now, as far as moving parts, I also like to do right here by the bail. Just to keep it lubricated, I like to click it open, put a drop here, maybe a little drop there, do the same thing on this side, a little drop here, a little drop there, and then just work the bail back and forth just to make sure she's smooth. And as you can see, she's nice and smooth. So give that a minute to do its thing. Alright. Make sure it gets into all the little cracks and crevices. And then just go over it with a little napkin. That's all. That's it. It'll seep down there into the areas that you need it to seep into. Then go on to your other side, do the same thing. Just like so. Alright. Give it a couple more clicks. Alrighty. And got a little bit of splash off, so we'll clean the rest of that up. So far everything is looking good, working the way it's supposed to. Alright. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to take off the reel handle. Okay. I have that's already lubricated on the top, but what I'm going to do, as you can see right here, there's a bearing inside there, right there. So I want to lubricate that bearing. So I'm going to put in just a couple of drops. Give it a second. Clean up if you got any spillage on the outside. Let that set. Make sure you get it in there. And then we want to put the reel back on. Excuse me. Just like so. And you don't want to go too tight, but you want to go tight enough. So just, that's about it. That's about as tight as you want to go. Alright. And then we'll check it, make sure, yes, everything is nice and smooth. Just like we want it. Perfect. Again. Okay. And then, again, another wipe down. So we wipe that down a little bit so a little spray come off there. That's good. That's good. And then just like that. And I put a little oil on the outside too. Doesn't hurt. Keeps it looking fresh. And it it doesn't really, I don't believe it keeps the salt water off. But it does keep it neat and doesn't dry it out, you know, so your paint doesn't chip. So I just put a little oil on it. All right, last but not least, we got one more thing to do. So, on all fishing rods, you know, there's usually, you know, within a year or two, the bearing that you have in here, okay, usually goes, because people forget to clean it, it locks up, it rots, and burns out. So I have a specialized bearing that I bought in there. It's a German ball bearing. I think I paid like $7 for it. As you can see, it spins. It's phenomenal. It's very, very balanced. You see it spinning. So what I like to do, you know, once a month, I'll pull the knob like this, squirt, you know, just enough to cover everything in there. Turn it upside down, just to make sure we get it in all the right places. Let it drip a minute. All right, hold on one second. Get another piece of napkin. All right, and then what we're gonna do, spin it a couple times, to make sure. Again, a little dab will do you, you know, so you don't want to go crazy. And then what I'll do right here is I'll hold it the way I'll be holding it when I'm fishing. And just give her a spin. A couple spins. As you're doing that, it's going to suck the oil in. And everything seems to be working just good. Let's wipe that down real quick. Wipe down the knob. Okay. And your line and drag system and reel is fully lubricated, tuned up, and ready to go for your next fishing trip. So I want to say thank you out there. This is Mark again with Waist Deep Wade Fishing, Southwest Florida.